For many people, myself included, Stoicism as a philosophy is very exciting, intriguing, and life-changing. It's changed my life and it's changed the lives of many people that I know. I've had thousands of messages. But I think what's really interesting to me, and I think many of you will agree, is to hear the thoughts on the philosophy of Stoicism from a Shaolin master. And if you've been around for a while with the Everyday Stoic, you'll remember I took a trip to Germany, the Shaolin Temple Europe, and I spoke to Master Shi Heng Yi of the Shaolin Temple. And we spoke a lot about Stoicism, and we had 3 very exciting, very serious and intriguing talks in the ceremony hall, or the Buddha hall you may know it as. And I spoke to Shi Heng Yi about 3 topics. One was Marcus Aurelius and his philosophy for life and the meditations, which was Marcus Aurelius's personal diary. Then we spoke about Epictetus and the Enchiridion and the dichotomy of control and the way that Epictetus lived his life. And we spoke about Seneca, Lucius Annaeus Seneca, and the shortness of life and letters from a Stoic, which I remember going into that talk a while ago, and I was very excited to hear his thoughts on this philosophy. And his replies blew my mind. I still think about a lot of what he said today, because he hasn't studied Stoicism, but many of his responses, and maybe it's to do with his Shaolin training, is very in line with Stoicism. So here is one of the unpublished talks I had in the ceremony hall with Master Shi Heng Yi on the topic of Seneca. I hope you enjoy. And today's lesson, today's episode, today's talk is sponsored by Huel, which is fitting because the trip to Germany was completely powered by Huel. We took all Huel meals, Huel drinks, Huel daily greens, Huel protein shakes, and it saved us so much money on the trip rather than going to all the fast food places. It saved us so much time and it kept us energized and healthy. So enjoy this talk with Master Shi Heng Yi. The last Stoic I want to talk about is Seneca. And this is letters from a Stoic. Seneca was a Roman senator. He was a Roman billionaire. He was a politician. He served alongside Emperor Nero, who was a great emperor of Rome. Not in what he did. He's considered a bad emperor, but he's very famous. And Seneca served alongside him, taught him things, taught him philosophy, and he's one of the 3 most famous Stoics. And in this book, he would write letters to help consolidate people or consolidate himself with certain problems. And most of it is about death or the shortness of life and being present. So one of the ideas is the idea of memento mori. I think we spoke about this last time, is to remember death or remember that you're mortal. They believed that remembering your own mortality brought so much presence to your life, it brought so much to your life that just remembering you're mortal, because a lot of people hide away from the fear of death, they run away from death, they think they can outrun it, but they like to look at it and say, this is the reality, we need to remember this, death can come at any moment. So every single moment we're in could be our last. We need to cherish it fully. I'd like to hear your thoughts on death and this phrase, memento mori, remember death.
So I think it goes without saying that apparently lifetime that we have is very valuable. Okay, so this is the foundation. Now, why is it so valuable? Because apparently after what we now would regard as being life comes the so-called death. So there is something about this death which is like the unknown, which we have not entered there before, why we in a way try to either avoid it or try to better understand. So at the end, still, it is about how to live your life in the best possible way as long as you have the chance. So now this is certainly one method in continuously remembering yourself. Look, your lifetime is limited. Make the best out of it. Don't waste your time. Don't invest your energy in anything that doesn't mean anything to you. So to have this on a constant basis can be helpful, but only for the ones that also can put this sentence into the right perspective. Because other people might find it extremely depressing, might find it very unromantic to, I mean, it's like you could like put a skull right next to your bed. Wake up and just watch the skull, first of all, to just remind you, look, you're going to end up there too. Okay, so the point is, it depends on from which perspective, from which state of the mind is somebody understanding this type of sentence. At the end of the day, what is it about? Not waste lifetime. Make the best out of it. So, and this is where I see it doesn't matter what type of thinking model, what type of concept, or what type of quote you are using in order to reach the result that you are living more to the fullest. So, and another thinking pattern is also, it's always about that death somehow. In one way, how also nowadays people used to, let's say, think in conventional patterns is, right now we have our 80, 90, 100 years of life, and afterwards comes the death. For me, somehow I stopped with putting this time chronology into the way of how I see it. For me, it's like each moment living and dying. You're always in between. Each moment it can come. Heart attack right now, stroke right now, whatever, bomb falling down right now. You don't know. That is the funny part. You don't know. But these things happen, that somebody who was just alive like a minute ago, suddenly he's just gone. Not because something big happened, no, just because he shut down. So, and this realization, death is not coming later. When death comes, then it's time to come. And it's not in our hands. So the only thing is, then, for example, where I would say, just consider yourself each moment, dead or alive, dead or alive. And you are the one determining now on which side you want to stay.
Something you mentioned about, I don't know if you were saying it as a joke, but the skull, keeping a skull by your bed. A lot of the Stoics actually did keep a skull, and they would look at it and remind
I must have been a Stoic then.
Yeah. Even in the meditations, he says to remind yourself of past emperors that were so great, so powerful, but look at them now, they're just dust. So I think it also helps with the idea of not thinking you're so great, not thinking you're so above everyone, because we're all equaled by death. So obviously Seneca talks a lot about time, not wasting time. And there's the concept of the restless mind. I think it's the restless monkey mind. And, I think people, especially now, it's worse. People are trying to be busy just for the sake of being busy. They'll pull out the phone, check emails just to keep busy. They'll be doing anything rather than doing nothing. And I've started to find a lot of value in the nothingness, or what people call boredom, of just being. Do you agree? And do you think people are trying to be too busy, trying to do too much, trying to fill their life so much, when really they should kind of hack away at all that, find the simplicity? And how would you stop that restless monkey mind? How would you silence it?
I try to get away from the black and white thinking. I can see the black, I can see the white, but it's pointless to take preference for any of these. So If somebody is too active and is doing, I say you are unbalanced. If I see somebody doing nothing, just hanging around, just like vanishing somehow, then I say unbalanced. You need more of this and you need more of that. Because it's the flow, it's the exchange of these two sides that I think is creating life. In order to have life, we need to have energy. And there for me, it's like, you have the plus pole of the battery, you have the minus pole. You have the plus charge, you have the minus charge. So, and what is in between? Tension. There's tension in between them. And because of this tension, this is creating, in my view at least, this is creating life. The tension between this and this. There's a constant exchange behind it. So in my thinking pattern, it's really it's about balance. So if somebody has the monkey mind and is trying to all the time engage in something, it's not a problem, but it has a consequence. Restlessness. It's going to drain out your body. Okay? And the other one, which does not even express any type of energy, this is an example of being dead already while alive. Like perfect example. It's also not the way how to do. And someone must learn to bring in effort, and other one must learn to calm the energy, to calm the mind. And this is why at the end of the day, the one maybe needs the tools that I regard as being discipline, consistency, and the other one maybe needs the abilities of just calmly sitting and properly focusing, not jumping with the mind all the time, focusing, engaging, immersing in what is. Yeah, I think in last time, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I think so. It's like for some people things go too fast, for other people things just go too slow. It's very difficult to put those two people together. The one doesn't understand the world of the other one. Yeah. That's why there's only one who can understand it. The one who possesses this one and possesses this one and sees the relationship between them is the overviewer. As long as I'm taking side, black, white, then you are caught inside one of the fractions. There's only one who can overview these things and start adjusting things around him properly. The one who's sitting calmly watching.
I agree. Something I get a sense from you in a lot of the way you are and the things you say is that you are fully present, or your whole being is in the now, which Seneca emphasizes is so important, because most people, like if we're having this conversation right now, part of my mind is in the past, thinking about past mistakes, which you can't change, and part of my mind is in the future, thinking about future worries, future anxieties that also may never happen, and they're just made up. And then there's also the idea of creating constructs and things. Our mind is just bouncing around when really we should just be in the present moment. That's what I believe. And I feel like I get that sense from you. Do you think that is important to be present? And a lot of people have asked me this, is how do you get present? How do you be present?
Meanwhile, in my life, there's nothing more important than always reminding yourself again, this is it. This moment, that is it. No need jumping in the past, no need looking for anything in the future. You will not get more than you have right now, already right now. When you're here, that's it. Another way why I am appreciating the present so much is because it's also a sign just of respect for life itself. Because this encounter right now is not going to happen anymore in this lifetime. So respecting your time, respecting also your efforts of coming here, respecting all the work you put into this is for me meaning it's disrespectful, in my opinion. To invite people or to go out with people, whatever, and then, I don't know, and then being just spread all over the place. So this is like my personal opinion about this. And of course, in Buddhist teachings, live in the here and now, not in the past, not in the future, be in the present. So it always boils down to the same and same again. Because also the experiences that now are in our memory from the past, but when they happened, actually was also in the now. Everything just happens in the now. Afterwards, after the now is finished, the thinking starts. This is why the now is just here.
That's good, actually. I kind of had an epiphany while she was talking, but I agree that now is such a gift and it is all we have. So I'm not sure why we give so much energy to being outside of the now.
Yeah, I think, there are many, many great teachers. There are many, many, many great teachers out there talking about the way how to, or the importance of the now. So at the end, what is the way that I teach our students, that I teach myself? How does the now feel? How to practice more to be in the now? For me, it is the martial arts. For me, it is practicing the movement, being very like very precise, of what type of movement when you are doing them. So I'm using the martial art as a practice to train my mind to stay in the present moment. And because this movement practices have become part of my daily life, that means I also start to expand this mental state beyond the training times. Just because I'm not in the training room or just because I'm not doing my movements outside on the field anymore doesn't mean my mind has started to change. It is similar like, when I do anything like this. It is like I'm starting to tune myself, to tune my mind to a very specific state, to a very specific mental state. The mental state of being focused and reconnected completely with your body, your mind, your breath, the movement. Mind, breath, movement. All of them, I bring it together with this movement. But even if in the beginning, the movement, let's say, is big, so even then when I start to come slowly, let's say, to an end of the movement, and the training obviously stops, but my mental state just began. Now I keep it. It's just you don't see the movement anymore. But the state, the connection of my breath, of my mind, of my feeling, of my surroundings, everything is for me connected. And this for me is like that state of presence. No need to talk.
Just a quick word from today's sponsor, Huel, and more specifically, Huel Daily Greens, which I love. I have every single morning and I just feel better. I feel like it's a good part of my routine. I know that I'm getting everything that my body needs and it tastes nice and it's quick and easy to set up. Just a bit of water, bit of powder, shake it up, drink. It's a great start to my day and it contains 91 vitamins, minerals and whole food sourced nutrients. So if you have any interest in Daily Greens or any other Huel products, which I recommend, then click the link in the description. Back to this talk. You did say that it carries over into your life. how does that work? Like you would do your forms, and you're being present in your forms and the world around you. How does it transfer to going off and walking off to the shops? Are you still keeping that mentality whilst you're walking to the shops, whilst you're walking through the aisles? Are you still got the that presence even on your actions, not just your mind?
Sometimes when I'm teaching groups and I teach, for example, any type of movement, and also trying to explain what is it that you're trying to align. For example, your movement, you try to align it with the focus of the mind. Yeah, so when you do the hand to the front, you also follow the hand to the front. Be there. Your body does it, your mind also does it. Body and mind, both of them do it. Then also as the next ingredient is also the breath. I make very stupid movement right now, but it's just to see it. So meaning inhale, exhale. Okay, so this is the practice. Breathing, movement, mind, all together. If I now try to demonstrate how it would be wrong, that even starts to become very difficult for me to show something wrong, because I have already witnessed the right, I have already witnessed the presence. Actually, for me, there is no alternative anymore to not be in the present. It has become even difficult for me to not be in the present. So I don't know how to fake it, that I would talk to you right now, but not be here. Even if I say, yeah, I'm going to just think about McDonald's, but I'm still here. So, I can't fake it. I can't fake the presence anymore, because once it comes, once you realize this is the presence, then you also realize that all the thoughts that are coming and happening, they all happen inside the presence. The only difference is that you are now finally not following all the time these thoughts anymore that carry you away. You have arrived, boom. That's it. Now here comes a thinking, a thought. I can see it coming. I can see the McDonald's. It's just that I'm not going to go there anymore. I'm back here again. Then I see from there comes something else. Yes, I can see it coming, but I don't follow it. I still stay here. I still stay here. And the same is like I go out on the shop, I see the cars coming, I see the car is coming, yeah, but I see it coming, I see it leaving, I walk my way. Yes. I meet people, I hear the words, I understand everything, I engage in the conversation, but I still have this. I don't have this, I have this. It's just that inside that presence, some things start to appear that sometimes can carry you away. And this is what I try to avoid. Or meanwhile, don't even need to avoid anymore, because this present moment has just become, and I can see already you have the same. Yeah, when you have the same. That's it. This one is the baseline. And everything else, just let it come, let it go, finished. That is it.
I agree. When I say I'm talking to you now, sometimes a thought will just come in like a distraction, and I kind of have to just let it pass. But I know a lot of people, and there's sometimes I struggle with this, like a thought will come in and then you kind of grab onto it and suddenly you're gone a different direction. So you've gone from being present to following down a rabbit hole of a random thought that came along, a random distraction. And you've said you just let them pass, but when did you arrive at that mindset that you could, was you always like that? Or was there a time when, a thought would come in, you're sort of away from the present, you're thinking about the past or the future? Is there a practice or an epiphany you had or anything that kind of got you to that understanding that all we have is now and these things can just pass?
I think it's a progress. No, it's a process. It's a process of consistently moving from extreme to extreme. First, you're being torn towards here because you somehow think that's the way. Then you went there long enough, and then maybe somebody tell you, but that's not the way. Okay, so you say, okay, so let's try this one. So you're like shifting now to the other direction. And then it continuously goes like this and like this. With everything. Literally with everything. Winning and losing, left and right, up and down, success and failure, having, not having, living and dying. Somebody propagates this, other one propagates this, until maybe you have enough from it and come to the conclusion, if it is the truth must incorporate this one and this one. Both of them, both of these extremes must belong to the truth. Elsewise, it wouldn't be the truth. It would be half the truth if this would be the way. Or it would be that half of the truth if you are propagating this way. The full truth means it must have this one and it must have this one. And then you watch and then you start to see, okay, this one and this one, somehow they belong together. And now you start to see the interaction between these things. And there it becomes extremely helpful to take the knowledge and deliveries, already transcriptions from our ancestors in the past that made in a way the same observation and therefore started to deliver or draw different symbols, putting the message already inside of there that there is a constant exchange between these two forces. And already when you can see it like this, that already means you're mentally have taken a perspective where you can more easily overview the things. Overviewing. Just like the emperor. Why is he the emperor? Why does he have so much power to adjust the country? Because he sees a lot. Because he stands above the daily things people are worried about. Where to get the toilet paper from. He stands above these things. He knows it's existing in the country, but he's standing above it, seeing that these things exist. And so like this, you can start to then, step by step, very calmly see, okay, there is something we need to fix. Sometimes you need to fix something on this side. But the main point is that, boom, you have like this overview. And if you translate this now just to like a normal life, this is how my life also looked before. Action, relaxation, always torn between those sides until finally I figured out like my personal way of, okay, I think the balance is the key. The balance between these two, the harmony between these two. And how did I do it? Or I'm not sure if it is what you do or if it is the consequence actually, when this one and this one start to balance out and you realize that they both belong to the same truth, I think this is the moment where you can take yourself out watching it. So this is the process where I think like I started to understand that all extremes in this world are like dependent upon each other. They are not separated from each other. The only thing what separates is if I'm stuck inside there. If I have become caught up in one of the fractions. Yeah. If I'm being drawn towards this side, then then I'm caught there. But then I've already lost the overview. In the moment I take a preference, you have lost the overview. Nothing is ultimately good and nothing is ultimately bad. They both belong to the truth. So, and that is like the story of how I somehow think that this way of of cultivating a perspective upon your life, becoming the overseer of your life, becoming the overseer of your own body, becoming the overseer of whatever it is.
It's a good way of seeing it. I think that's the last thing from this book. I would like to ask one more question just about Stoicism in general. So we've talked about Marcus Aurelius, last great emperor, who, despite his great power, despite his suffering in life from the wars, from the plague, he lost so many of his people, and he used Stoicism to help guide him through. Seneca, who was a super rich politician, he used Stoicism to help manage stress and get him through it. And then Epictetus, the slave turned philosopher, also used Stoicism to guide him through his life. I'd just like to hear your thoughts on either Stoicism or these Stoics, what you think about it, and if you can compare it to your own principles.
Like I said, I'm really, let's say, I'm not educated specifically on Stoicism, but for example, just out of curiosity, did they call it like this? Who's the creator of it?
So Zeno of Citium in 301 BCA, he was a famous, a wealthy merchant, and he was taking a big shipment across the sea, worth millions. It's his fortune. And then the ship got completely wrecked. Everyone died in the shipwreck except him. He washed ashore, lost everything. And then he went to the Delphic Oracle, seeking answers, and the Delphic Oracle said, you'll find your answers, your thoughts will be dyed with the colours of dead men. So it was kind of cryptic, and he didn't understand. So he went to a bookstore and he read Socrates, and the thoughts of a dead man, Socrates, dyed his mind, and suddenly he had a new understanding of life. So he started to develop his own philosophy from the Cynics, and this is 300 years before some of these people, even 400 years before them. But the philosophy developed from there. He went out into the streets and taught everyone his new way of thinking, and he tried to help the average person to get his understanding of life.
So this is what is then known afterwards as Stoicism.
Yeah, so it was originally called Zenonianism. So it was named after Zeno, but they didn't want to make it like a cult-like thing. They didn't want to make it about the person. So they named it after the place where it was taught, which was the Stoa Poikile, which is it's the painted porch that you see in like Athens and Rome, like the pillars, it's an open market where people were just walking around. So it was just named after where they taught.
So I think before I also mentioned something similar to your older brother Jordan before, yeah? I don't really care so much about words or how you call something. If something now is called, I cannot read, one of them is Stoicism, and before that it was like
Zenonianism.
It's
hard to say.
Even if you switch the words, for me, it doesn't matter. What matters to me is the content. So apparently, the one which we know now as Stoicism is being derived from initial thoughts that are also found in another philosophy or in another thinking concept before that already. So, and therefore, what is it that I think Stoicism is about? At the end, it's about life. And whenever somebody is speaking or sharing out such things, and then even giving it a name, this teaching, what I usually do is just to look at the life that this person lived. So you are bringing out something very, very wise, apparently, something that is supposed to be super helpful. What have you, as the one who is bringing this out, have done in your life? And by that, I think you simply get your answers. Yeah, and therefore, looking at now, for example, I have heard these names, of course, before. And it's still everything on the one side aligns with the fact of you are able, there is something about you, you have the potential to self-express yourself in this lifetime. And in order to do so, there can be thinking patterns, thinking concepts, helpful thinking guidelines that help you, support you along this way. And because I use these type of thinking, so they used it in their life, I use mine in my life. That's why I know what works for me, and they knew what was working for them. And this now is being shared out. But now you will be the one who has the choice of picking up on all of these things and find the one that is making you flourish, that is making you grow. And once that has been done, then you just share it out. This is how I see it, regardless of which name it has.
That's kind of how I see it as well. You know, things are always changing as well. So it needs to be brought into the modern world. It needs to be understandable. You know, these are people thousands of years ago. They had different ways of thinking, lived different lives. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is bring it into modern, adapt it a little bit to the way people are living. I was just curious to hear what your thoughts were on the philosophy of Stoicism. But thank you. That is the talk, but don't go, because I have an exciting proposition for you, and it is based on the third unreleased talk that I had with Master Shi Heng Yi. But that talk, I hope you learned something from it. It was so nice, and it's such a privilege, and I don't forget that privilege, that I can go visit Master Shi Heng Yi and talk about these topics, and we have so much time in this beautiful location. But the proposition is, there is a third talk. We spoke about Epictetus, which, you know, he's, at the time, it's always changing, but he was my favorite Stoic. It still probably is. His directness, his harshness, but also his caring nature. He's just a model Stoic. He is such a strong character, and I think he has such great direct advice. And hearing Shi Heng Yi talk about Epictetus was fascinating, and it was a real pleasure. And sometimes I just sit there and I'm like, oh, what shall I ask him so I can learn these things? It's really cool. And hopefully you can also feel what I feel when I'm listening to his words. So yeah, there's a third talk. If it gets enough interest, you know, people want that third talk, I will get it edited and get it released so that you can hear this. For those of you who were part of Stoic School, I hope you learned from Stoic School. I had many great messages. And if you're still on your journey through Stoic School, you're on episode 20, wherever you are, keep going. I hope you keep learning. I'm always here to answer questions. If you send me a DM about one of the lessons, I'm always happy to help. Stoic School is over, and I've been working on other new projects with lots of great people. So I'm excited to get it out. It's taken a bit longer than planned, but I know you'll enjoy it, and I know it'll be very insightful and helpful to many of you. And thank you to today's sponsor, Huel. They made this trip possible, actually. It costs a lot of money traveling, getting all the people over into Europe, and the equipment, everything costs a lot. And the last thing you want to be doing is, when you're driving, is going in and out of fast food places and just spending a fortune, coffee places, all that kind of thing. And we took the Huel with us, and the place we're staying had the amenities to cook up the Huel. And then instead of having coffees, we had the Huel drinks. You know, the meals were a great replacement, so we wasn't having fast food places. And it just made it all possible, and it made it a very successful trip. It was a great trip. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't feel like, a lot of these trips I used to go on, I feel like I've ate a bit bad because we didn't have the time. Huel is quick, it's affordable, and it is healthy, and it's tasty. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. I'll probably be releasing some episodes before my projects come out. I'll be doing solo episodes, just me, and then when I'm ready, I'll be having great people joining me to explain a few things, have a few talks. I hope you enjoy. Thank you, as always, for your support. And thank you, everyone that's been supporting me with the book. If you have read the book, The Everyday Stoic, I only have the American version with me. I have the UK version, this, and here. If you have read it, I would like to request, if it's helped you, just to leave a review on Amazon or wherever. It's really helpful. And I really like it. So thank you and have a wonderful day.